Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Fantasy 15. It's week 5 in the NFL, and we got another awesome show for you. Back in overtime, we have a guest, Ryan Jones, who is also a contributor with me on Viking Central, which this show is also powered by Viking Central. So thank you to Viking Central for helping us host this show also on their network. So as we get into week 5 and we get into different picks, a new flavor that Ryan Jones and I are going to add in is our ultimate lineup for each week. And we're going to go head to head. But with no further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the charts and then jump into overtime with Ryan. So let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule for this week. We'll start the timer, clock's ticking. All right, this week we got San Francisco 49ers and Los Angeles Rams on Thursday. Man, the 49ers are hurting real bad with receivers. Juwan Jennings isn't starting. Uh, Purdy's not starting, and neither is Pearsall. None of those three are in the game. You still got George Kittle off sideline. I'm taking the Rams, no doubt about it in this game. Vikings, Cleveland. That is a tough one to where Browns in Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns are going to start a rookie quarterback. The Minnesota Vikings are just absolutely gutted at the offensive line. This figures to be a defensive battle, but I'm still taking the Vikings in this one. Raiders and Colts. Man, Danny Dimes has been on, but it is at home. The Raiders had a tough one last week. They got Genty going, but I'm taking the Colts in this one. Giants and New Orleans Saints. Jackson Dart's getting his first start. I'm actually taking the Saints in this one. Cowboys and the Jets. It's a tough one. The Jets do get this one at home. Dak has more of the experience over the Justin Fields and New York Jets. I'm going to take the Cowboys over the Jets in this one. Broncos, Eagles. I know Knicks and Cortland Sutton had a really good week last week, but he's facing a very tough Eagle team that's home. Philly's a tough place to play. I'm taking the Philadelphia Eagles. Dolphins, Panthers. I'm going to take Dolphins, even though they lost Tyreek Hill. I'm still going to take the Dolphins to be able to get past the Panthers. Texans, Baltimore. I'm going to go ahead and take the Baltimore Ravens as long as Lamar Jackson's playing in that game. Titans, Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to go with Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray to take down Cam Ward, the rookie quarterback in Tennessee. Tampa Bay and Seattle. It's a tough place to play in Seattle, and I'm going to take the Seahawks to actually upset the Buccaneers in that game. I'm going to have to go back to that real quick just to follow it up. I do have in this, I do have the Detroit Lions absolutely demolishing the Bengals, and I must finish it out. Chargers over the Commanders, Bills over the Patriots, and then on Monday Night Football, I do have the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Jacksonville Jaguars on a bye week, Atlanta, Chicago, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh. All right, let's get back into it. Jared Goff is my number one quarterback of this week going against Cincinnati. And again, it's because of who he's playing. Cincinnati hasn't been able to stop anyone. And against this team, Jared Goff is not only going to have the run game going with Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery, but he's also got St. Brown who's ripping up the league as well, too. Josh Allen's going to have a good game against New England, and Matt Stafford also going to have a good game against they have nobody on offense to really. So I figure that they're going to get a lot of good starting positions. They're going to be punting a lot. Matt Stafford's going to be able to have a good game there. Herbert and Washington, that one could end up being a shootout. Looks like Jane Daniels might be able to start in that game. Hurts, I know it's a tough Denver team, but Hurts always seems to get it, whether it be his legs or his arm. I do like the Mayfield Darnold hookup in that other game between Seattle and Tampa Bay. One that I'd look out for, though, in this game is Justin Fields and Prescott. Those two, I think that could end up being a shootout game as well. And then one that kind of surprised me last week was CJ Stroud had a decent point scoring game. That could happen with Baltimore with all the injuries that Baltimore just had over this past week. Patrick Mahomes was the offensive player of the week last week. We'll see if he has a bounce back week. Again, he hasn't been um, that player, that offensive fantasy point scorer in the league over the years, and he's still hurting a little bit on the wide receiver position. I know we got Xavier Worthy back, and I would like to raise him up a little bit higher once I see Rasheed Rice come back as well. But I do still have Patty Mahomes at number 14 on this list against Jacksonville. And again, if he plays, and I'm just saying because, he's trying to get work back in with the offense with practices. I still have Jane Daniels on there. Typically, he would be higher, but I do have him rounding up a 15 at the Chargers this week. So again, he could be higher, and he normally would in most weeks. But we'll see how healthy he is going into this game. He is getting some practices, and that was reported on social media today. Um, so we'll see if he plays. Lamar Jackson is another one of those where, again, he got injured last week, and we'll see if he plays this week. My week 5 top 15, week 5 spotlight is Jonathan Taylor. A lot of it has to do with the matchup against Vegas. So I do like Jonathan Taylor. He's playing at home in this game against Vegas. I really like that matchup. Now, without having Najee Harris, Omar Hampton had a really good week last night with over 120 yards last week. He goes up against Washington this week. I figure for him to have another really sharp game, he's towards the top of my top 15 running backs this week. Jamar Gibbs, I do see that Cook versus New England is a good pickup. Now, Charbonnet is going to be back this week, so does Charbonnet vulture another touchdown from Kenny Walker there at number 5 against Tampa Bay? We'll see. I still have Kenneth Walker, having a really good game. He's in my top 5, and then Achan against Carolina. That's a good pickup. And Brees Hall had a good week last week, especially with Braylon Allen going down. He's going to get the lion's share of the carries. And of course, he's that third down back against Dallas. I like Chuba Hubbard this week against Miami, who's been brutal against the run. We'll see if Derrick Henry can kind of get going again against Houston. McCaffrey maybe should be higher, but he's going against a tough Rams team that's really going to be able to key on the run, being that they're just decimated in the pass game. And of course, Mac Jones is going to have to start that game again. So I don't have McCaffrey as high as I maybe typically would. Etienne had a very good game last week. We'll see if he bounces back again this week. Genty was awesome last week, but again, he's going against a tough Indianapolis team. That was his first breakout week. We'll see if he can do it again. He's still in my top 15. I'm just not ready to put him quite as high yet. Judkins against Minnesota, I think could have a good game. Minnesota was not great against the run last week and gave up quite a few yards and touchdowns to Kenneth Gainwell. We'll see if Judkins has success against that Minnesota defense. And then again, Barkley rounds up my top 15. He hasn't been having very good games this week, and it doesn't get any easier against a Denver defense. So he rounds up my top 15. Now, it's just tough in this week when you're playing some different defenses where they'd be a little bit higher. I'd like to see some other running backs sneak in there. Um, we'll see what comes up in week 6, and when we review week 5, we're going to kind of take a look starting next week at some of these that we got right and wrong. One of them that I got really right last week was my number 1 wide receiver last week, who's my number wide receiver again this week, which is Puka Nakua. Puka Nakua last week had 13 receptions for 170 yards and a touchdown. That's remarkable. Um, Puka Nakua is absolutely my number 1 with a bullet. My top 3, Smith, Najigba, and St. Brown, have been awesome all throughout the year. One that really surprised us last week. Now, again, CeeDee Lamb was down, so we knew he was going to get a lot more looks. But George Pickens had a lot of receptions, good yardage last week, and against the Jets. I know he's going to go against some tough corners, but they're going to move him around, get some different matchups. He's still going to be that number 1 guy in Dallas. I look for him to still have a big game. Ibuka against Seattle. I like Devontae Adams against San Fran, and I know I have Puka in there too, and that's all because I think Matt Stafford's going to have a really good game. Michael Pittman's been having some really good games for Indianapolis. He's now in my top 10 at number 7. I like Garrett Wilson at Dallas. Cam Sutton. Now, again, this is just because he's going against a tough Philadelphia defense. Um, maybe not as much success, but obviously he's that wide receiver one in Denver, who's Bo Nix's go-to, especially near the red zone. He's still in my top 10, just not as high. I had him at number 3 last week, and he really came through and had a great week last week. So if you took my advice last week, you absolutely started Cam Sutton. McMillan against Miami, I think, is a good play. Another one to take a look at, and I don't know if Scary Terry is for sure playing yet this week, but I still like Debo Samuel against the Chargers this week. Quinn Johnson. Quinn Johnson has been really solid all throughout the year. I think he's number 3 right now in yards right now, receiving yards. But versus Washington, I like that matchup. He's been good every week so far. Week 5, top 15 tight end chart. Our most consistent tight end has been McBride. So Trey McBride last week, he had 7 receptions for 52 yards, no touchdowns. But again, he gets the receptions, he gets the targets every week, which is almost just those reliable points that you can have each week. Brock Bowers at Indianapolis is my number 2. I like Tyler Warren against Las Vegas as well. I think that's a good matchup. Hunter Henry is kind of that boomer bust type tight end as well. I have him at number 4. I like Ferguson at the Jets. Again, Prescott's going to need other targets now with CD Lamb gone. So I like Ferguson against the Jets. And I did this last week and I did it again. I have Ferguson on there twice. And I did that to Kelsey last week. I did this week again. So as Ryan probably said, I really like Ferguson. Dallas Goedert. All right. I really like Goddard against Denver. I think that's a good matchup. Again, it's hard with the different, you got Patrick Surtain as a corner in there. So I like Goddard to kind of be able to take some of that heat off where Cam Sutton's maybe going to be hanging around A.J. Brown a lot. I like Waller. You had Tyreek Hill go down. Jalen Waddle's the only other reliable receiver out there. So I like Darren Waller to actually get some receptions in there. And then another one, Sam Laporta. Again, everything Detroit I love against Cincy. That's a sieve as far as the defense goes. A lot of points to be scored in that one. My top 15 kicker this week is Spencer Schrader. He actually leads all kickers right now in points. So Spencer Schrader, he's my number 1 going against Las Vegas. Rounding out the top 5 is McLaughlin, Little, Aubrey, and Elliott. Nick Folk had some big kicks last week for the Jets. And I also like I like the opportunity that Sly might have for Denver going against Philly. Again, that tough Philly defense might result in more field goals having needed to be kicked in that case. Taking a look at some other key kickers, again, you got Riker going against a tough Cleveland defense. That's going to be possibly more forced field goals for him. Um, I just think Jake Bates is going to get a lot of opportunities at either field goals or extra points at number 10. I do like Dicker versus Washington. Again, a lot of points to be scored potentially in that one. Could be a shootout. Kaimi Fairbairn against Baltimore, which is another team that, uh, depending if Lamar Jackson's playing, could be one of those shootout type games as well. Now my week 5 top 15 defensive chart, I would love to be wrong on this one, but with that gutted offensive line that the Vikings have right now, if uh, Myles Garrett plays in this one, which he was not at practice today, but if he does play, he's looking to eat. Um, they only got 2 starters that are healthy on that offensive line, so and they have two top corners in the league, probably the top cornerback secondary tandem in the league. So going against Minnesota, I do have them at number 1, but they are starting Dylan Gabriel, a rookie quarterback, getting his first start against still a tough Vikings defense, and I have them at number 2. I like the Lions at Cincy. Again, Jake Browning's been a turnover machine, whether it be with his interceptions, and then they've been having some fumbling issues as well. I like the Lions defense, who's been decent this year as well. Cardinals at Tennessee versus Tennessee, Rams versus San Fran. Again, San Fran really missing a lot of offensive weapons, and that's a tough Rams defense. Bills versus New England, I like the Colts versus Las Vegas. Geno Smith has been throwing a lot of different interceptions this year so far. Um, so I do like that Colts defense in that matchup, and it is at Indy as well. Eagles versus Denver. Bo Nix has been struggling at times as well, going against now a very tough interior defensive line that's going to get a lot of pressure and push against Bo Nix with the Eagles. Dolphins at Carolina, Saints at versus the Giants. Again, they're going against Saints going against Jackson Dart in his uh, second NFL start. So Saints versus Dart, yeah, it could go either way on that, but they also lost Malik Neighbors. So that's a pretty huge loss. So Wandale Robinson needs to step up, as well as Slayton as receivers for them. So I like that matchup. And at the same time, I do like the Giants versus New Orleans as well. So another one to look at the bottom. Chargers versus Washington could be one if Jane Daniels isn't starting. With that, you heard the timer go off, and you know what that means? That means, hey, it's time for overtime. So with that, I'm going to bring on our overtime guest, Ryan Jones. Ryan, how we doing? He's getting stretched out. He's ready for this. It's game.
Yeah, I'm good. Whoo, baby. I'm ready to go. You ready for this ultimate lineup, baby?
I am. Now, anytime while we're going through overtime, you saw the charts. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, please make sure that, or on X, please make sure that you drop a comment if you have questions about trades, sit starts for Ryan or I, or even just anything with injuries or, you know, just anything fantasy. Go ahead, drop us any kind of comment. Flow School says, "Wow, Ryan is awfully handsome."
How nice of you.
So a lot of love for you, Ryan. I have not got that comment yet, so I'll keep working on it. It's probably the beard, so that's probably something I need to work on, I guess.
By the way,
So,
please follow me on X at Flow Skull. And anyway, we'll go from there.
now, the other thing I just want to jump on before we get into our ultimate lineup is just that with the different lineups that we have throughout the year, we're going to do it a half PPR for the ultimate lineup between Ryan and I. And if for some reason there's some kind of injury or we projected somebody is not going to play, he's able to do a sub. So if we find out that, say, Lamar Jackson is not going to play this week, he's able to sub that quarterback out for somebody else. Now, if they get injured in the game, that's different.
Right.
It kind of is what it is. So that's how we're going to play that half
Part of the
point
game.
PPR for the scoring rules. And with that, we'll take a peek at what we have for our ultimate lineup. So between Ryan and I, and Ryan, I'll go ahead and let you explain your lineup as far as who you chose and your reasoning why.
Sure. Well, I mean, to start off, Lamar Jackson, look, I just think it's a get right game against the Texans. I know that I think they lead the league in points allowed per game. So I know they have a stout defense and a stout pass rush, but, they are 1-3. They did play a crappy Titans team. They haven't played the toughest schedule. So I don't know. It's just, honest to God, it's that one out of everything probably doesn't make the most sense if you look at it on paper, but it's more of a gut feeling and a get right game for Lamar Jackson. There's been just a ton of talk about him and maybe an injury and maybe this and maybe that. And I just think he's going to ball out this weekend. So
Yeah,
that's where I stand at the quarterback.
Now, as far as quarterback, I kind of talked about it as well. I went with Jared Goff, and a lot of it has to do with the lineup matchup, the matchup nightmare that is the Cincinnati Bengal defense. So they've been giving up tons of points, and we saw that against several teams already this year. So I like everything that's Detroit this week against the Cincinnati Bengals. So Jared Goff
Yeah.
for me is my top quarterback that I'll go with.
Now, having said that, I did, make this list before the injury report that came out today. I know Lamar may not end up playing, so if that's the case, then I'll sub him out and we'll have someone else in there. But
Who would your number 2 be if you do have to sub him out?
why would you ask me that right now? Give me 4 seconds to decide.
3, 2,
2, 1. Justin Herbert.
Yeah. And Justin Herbert going against
But don't put that on.
Commanders.
Don't put
No,
that in
that's
ink
right.
yet. I'm not
That's right.
deciding for sure.
No, that's right. No, just viewers might be interested. So you have Jamar Gibbs and you have Devon Achane as your 2 top running backs.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm with you on Gibbs. You can see he's my flex.
Yeah.
But what were your thought process on Gibbs and Achane?
Well, the Bengals
As your
suck,
running back?
and the Lions are really good, so it's kind of hard to to
Absolutely.
not pick Gibbs this weekend. The Bengals defense is allowing some of the most rush yards per game in the NFL this year, and I just know that Dan Campbell and the Lions offense are going to feature their running game quite a bit because they know they can just pound it down their throat. A-Chain, I mean, they're playing Carolina. Again, Carolina's first of all, Tyreek Hill's out, so Miami relies on their speed demons a ton, and they have to set up their passing game through the running game. So I think A-Chain's just going to get. I mean, I could see 27 to 30 touches for him. Like
He
it's
just
going to
got
be that much.
he gets quite a few receptions as well too out of the
That's what I
backfield.
mean. Like overall touches, he's just going to have. It's going to be crazy. So
It's a great pick. It is a great
Mhm.
pick. Absolutely. On my side, I went with Jonathan Taylor, and again, the Colts like to establish the run game. Their offense is built off of that. So I do like Jonathan Taylor, and then Omari and Hampton looked really good last week in that offense.
Mhm.
I do think that this week is another opportunity for him to showcase that against a Washington defense as well. And yeah, that's why I went with Omari and Hampton. I just like the matchup this week, and without having Najee Harris there as the individual that's maybe vulturing carries or touchdowns from him, um, he's towards the top of my list this
Yeah.
week. Moving on to wide receiver. Again, we've established St. Brown's been a machine this year. I talked about it a little bit. We love everything Detroit, as you've seen, but you also have George Pickens on there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that Dallas just showed you they have anyway this whole season how good their offense is overall. They can move the ball. There's no question about it. Dak has looked like this year's version of last year's Joe Burrow to me, where
Mhm.
he's able to move the ball up and down the field, but his defense is so bad that it doesn't really matter what he does. They're just not a very good overall team. So we saw Pickens last week, even had an incredible game. I think once again, I mean, he is a superstar who just makes boneheaded mistakes on the field. But he is an incredible wide receiver who is going to, I think, show out once again this week.
So I went with Puka Nakua because he's been a machine every week,
No doubt.
almost so far. And again, off of amazing week last week, I think he does it again. He's
You're
just
so chalky.
he's just
You probably pick all number 1 seeds in the NCAA tournament, don't you?
I don't, but if you were picking Puka Nakua, who would be my number one the last 2 weeks, you'd be sitting pretty good. Now with Jackson Smith the Jigbutt, I do like St. Brown. St. Brown could arguably be the number 2 in my list.
Yeah.
So it can go one of two ways going against Cincinnati. Cincinnati, they can get up so far to where St. Brown's not playing a good chunk of the fourth quarter just because they're up that high
Yeah, no
in the
doubt.
game. But that means a lot of Gibbs. So I really like Gibbs. And that's just why I have Najigba a little bit higher, but St. Brown's still my number 3 in my top 15. So I still think he's going to
Sure.
have an absolute fantastic game.
Yeah, no
Um,
doubt.
so I was going back and forth between Najigba and St. Brown.
Right.
So great pick on St. Brown. Jackson Smith Najigba is almost like the St. Brown or the Puka Nakua, if you can, for Sam Darnold. He's been that security blanket, and he's been that target magnet for that team.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
We're in cahoots when it comes to Trey McBride. I talked about him a little bit. I'll let you say your piece.
I mean, it's hard to go against him. He's so good. He's so good. I mean, he's always open, and Kyler Murray loves him. He might be one of the only guys he can see over his offensive linemen, so that's why he throws the ball so much. And Tennessee, just they look like a team that's almost already given up on on the season. So yeah, I mean, they have a favorable matchup, and I think Kyler's gonna. He had made a comment today about they talked about this facility that they're building in Arizona, and they asked him what he thought about it, and he said it's looks incredible. Hopefully, I'm here to see it when it's built. Like
Mhm.
so he's already there's already a lot of noise about Kyler and what's going to happen, and is he performing up to standard? So I think he's going to be out to prove a point, and I mean, what better tool than Trey McBride to help prove that point? So I think he has a big week.
So when we get into
Obviously,
your
you do too.
when we get into your flex, you
Yeah.
know, your flex of Garrett Wilson, I want you to be
Mhm.
so
Are
right.
you giggling?
Well, so in the I'm a big Justin Fields guy as far as my fantasy football leagues. I have drafted and picked up Justin Fields because when he is on, he is a point machine.
Uh-huh.
And it's fantastic. And I want you to be right on Garrett Wilson. Now, for the sake of the ultimate lineup and possibly beating you this week, I'm torn a little bit. But I do have Justin Fields going in both of my leagues this week. So I want you to be partly right, at least
Well
on Garrett Wilson.
well, I don't know if you remember last week, but who did I tell you that is an awesome person to start in your lineup? None other than Romeo Dobbs. And how did he do last week?
Romeo did good. I
Mhm.
think I
Do you
think
know
he
why I
ended up
told him?
having how many yards did he have last week here?
Well, he had 6 catches for 58 yards and 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns.
Yeah, but do you know why I said to start him? Because they
Uh,
were playing the Cowboys. And who do the Jets play?
let me
The
look and see what
Cowboys.
he had. Yeah, 58 yards, 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, that's man, I mean that's
It's
a ton of points.
the
In
Cowboys secondary. That's what it boils down to. That's why I love Garrett Wilson this week. I
yeah,
think they're just that bad. I think the Cowboys secondary is that bad that even Justin Fields can find a, a number one receiver like Garrett Wilson all over the field, who,
and
in
he did
my
in week
opinion,
1.
belongs, yeah, in the probably top 10 receivers in the NFL, Garrett Wilson. So, yeah,
Mhm.
I think he has a big week.
Okay.
He did it last week. Garrett Wilson had a great week last week.
We both like Gibbs. That's why he's at my flex. So we'll move on to
No
kicker.
doubt.
I like your kicker selection of Brandon Aubrey. I'll let you talk about that a little bit.
I mean, like I said, the Cowboys score points, and I just think Aubrey is the best kicker in the NFL. He well, at least has the biggest leg. So, I think, you know,
Does he though? I don't know. Cam Little from Jacksonville hit one from 70.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, but I mean, I'm just saying he's up there.
He's a great kicker.
Um,
I
yeah,
like the pick.
and if you get like close to midfield right before the half, I think he could knock one through for some big points. So
What's with it
it's
with the
kicking.
with
I mean, it's a shot in the dark no matter what.
I mean, what's with the league this year? It's like, are these kickers taking steroids this year?
Well, I don't
It seemed
know.
like kicking a 55-yard field goal was a stretch just a couple of years
Yeah,
ago, and now this year, a 70-yarder was kicked. and in the
Right.
preseason, and we've already seen Will Riker kick a 62-yarder, and it almost seems like anything over 60, like, it's doable, like, teams are going for it, and there would be
Yeah.
cases where if it was, maybe 55 plus or even 60 before, coaches
Right.
wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, well, a lot was made last year, but like the inconsistency of kickers, because theirs is like last year, I want to say was one of the worst seasons in recent history, percentage of field goals made. I might be mistaken on that, but I thought I read that somewhere. So,
Mhm.
and it did feel like last year, like a lot of kickers were missing a lot. So, teams aren't really going to tolerate that for long. Like you're either going to make field goals or you're not going to have a job. So, I think a lot of these teams are just sort of corrected course in the offseason and made sure they got guys that are going to make kicks.
Sure. Um, I went with Spencer Schrader. He's been great all year, and a lot of that has to do with just in some cases, the first couple of weeks, Indianapolis wasn't punting the ball because they were
Yeah.
scoring all the time. They were
Yeah.
either putting three on the board or a touchdown. So Schrader's been definitely getting the work in with his leg, and he's been very successful this year. So I definitely like Spencer Schrader to continue that trend. Um, so that's why I like Spencer. Um, yeah, kind of going into your defense, the Vikings. I had Vikings number two. I had Browns number one. Um, yeah, I mean, I talked about the
It's
defenses a little bit. I'll let you talk defense.
I mean, I like the Vikings' big playability.
Hmm.
I mean, we've already seen it this year. Uh, a handful of sacks, maybe a couple turnovers, hopefully a defensive score against a rookie first time starting quarterback and a Brian Flores defense coming at you. I know for a fact Cleveland's going to try to really dumb down the game and get the ball out of his hand quick and make it simple. So I don't know. I do the over under that game, Browns Vikings in London is 36 and a half. I would almost be remiss to take the under even at
Hmm.
36 and a half, only because I think both teams are going to be like, let's just we're all injured. Like, let's try to get out of here healthy. Let's run the ball. Let's run the clock out. It might be one of those 17 to 10 games,
Hmm.
something like that. So,
Now,
um,
I try not to be biased on this show,
yeah,
at least on the fantasy perspective, because I want to give you my honest, non-biased opinion. And when it comes into picking the Browns as a Vikings fan who is also on Viking Central with Ryan and I doing stuff on Viking Central, yeah. Do do I want to hear a lot of the Vikings getting these? Absolutely, I do. But when I take a
yeah,
look at our offensive line and I think of fantasy football, I can definitely see the Cleveland Browns getting, unfortunately, a few sacks um, at the least on Carson Wentz next week. We saw what kind of havoc, pressure, and some of that's not on Carson. Some of that's not on Carson. When you're getting pressured like that, it's hard to make some of those reads and get the ball out on time and accurately to receivers.
right.
But I just find that to be a very hard situation for the Vikings and Carson Wentz to be in, to where uh, my non-biased opinion, I like the Browns in that matchup. On the opposite side, I like your pick of the Vikings because, again, we haven't seen Dylan Gabriel really. This is his first start, and he's going to be going against a Brian Flores defense that's going to be trying to confuse a young rookie with a lot of looks he's never seen before. So, yes, I'm sure that they tried simulating and emulating some of that in practice. But how does a rookie with this first NFL start, who is maybe not even touted as the top rookie on their team, depending on who you talk to, how
Oh,
did
stop.
how does he do going into this game? So we'll see. I mean, I like both defenses in this game. Like you said, that 17-10 type score. Yeah, you're definitely on the right track. And what would we were talking about it earlier. What did you say the over under was for this game?
36 and a half.
36.5. So, I mean, Vegas thinks, it's also gonna be that low scoring affair too, and we could always be surprised. It could turn into something, that we didn't see coming,
Mhm.
but,
What
um
a exciting game for the British over there. We're just like, "Hey, here you go. Watch this game." Oh god. I thought we were trying to build the brand, not tear it down. You get to watch Dylan Gabriel face off against Carson Wentz.
it
Have fun.
and that could still be a good game. I mean, we'll see what, it ends up being, but I definitely think, the defense is gonna be highlighted in that one for sure.
I'm not
Um
even looking forward to watching it.
So one of the other things to talk about too is injuries this week, and maybe
Yeah.
different people that you should think about not starting. So we did have some key injuries last week. Of course, we had Malik Neighbors with the Giants suffering a torn ACL. Man, I
Sucks.
mean, talk about devastating to your fantasy football team, having Malik Neighbors go down, torn ACL. So what does that mean for your fantasy football team? That means that you need to, if you don't already have Wandale Robinson on your team, uh, there's Slayton could be another option for you if you're looking at Giants lineup wise. But those are the two individuals that are going to get the lion's share of those targets now on that team. And then the other thing to take a look at is we had another ACL and dislocated knee with Tyreek Hill.
Mm.
So Jalen Waddle, Darren Waller are probably going to pick up more targets. And then we also talked about Devon A. Chain as well. So those are going to be the playmakers that pick up some more of those targets that we saw. Now we also had another big one go down, which was James Conner. He went down and he's out for the season. Now we
Mhm.
saw Trey Benson come in for him, and now Trey Benson's on the IR.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at their depth chart, you would think that Emercado is going to be the next one up. But what I'm seeing on social media, and he may have let the cat out of the bag, is running back Michael Carter had
Mm.
made a post and suggested that he will be the actual starting running back for the Cardinals this Sunday. So that's definitely interesting. So as far as which running back to pick up between Michael Carter and Emercado, your guess is as good as mine.
Mhm.
But at least leading on the posts and stuff that we're seeing on social media, it could be Michael Carter getting the start. Now, there was I did see some updates on social media on as far as how serious the injury is on Trey Benson. It sounds like he will be back this season, but he is going to at least do a stint on the IR. Now, I don't know exactly how many games that, right now I'd look at 4 to 6 games for Trey Benson, but
Right.
still, that's a significant amount of time when you're talking for fantasy football. So if it was me, I maybe pick up Michael Carter and I roll the dice with that just to see what happens. He's not a starter for me, but he's somebody I roll the dice and I put on the bench if he was available. So if he's
Yeah, no
still
doubt.
out there, which Michael Carter probably is in a lot of leagues for the waiver wire now, because everyone was eyeing DeMarcado as Demarcado as the starter and not Michael Carter. So he
Yeah.
should still be available in a lot of different leagues.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I picked up DeMarcado, um, and, in one of the leagues, and Michael Carter just because
mhm.
I had a couple guys on my IR spot that I was able to free up some roster space, so I don't know. I think they'll use DeMarcado a lot more in, like, passing game,
I think
so
they
I could
both,
very
yeah.
well see Carter kinda take the bulk of the carries.
I definitely see that being both of those running backs getting, a shared scenario between the two of them, and maybe one emerges. But that's a good point with the receptions of maybe the third down back is DeMarcado. Um, what about Lamar Jackson? So Lamar Jackson, he injured his hamstring during the game versus Kansas City. So he was expected to potentially miss week 5.
Mhm.
So that's something to keep an eye on and watch. Now, if he misses week 5, what do we think? What do we think the outlook may be for Zay Flowers?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's definitely gonna affect his production. I think it's I mean, it's going to be good if you're a Derrick Henry
Hmm.
owner. Um, but Zay Flowers, I mean, Lamar has been such an insane passer and runner and overall quarterback over the last season and so far this year, even with a 1-3 record. It's hard to imagine a world where Zay Flowers continues to have the same production without his MVP candidate quarterback.
Right. Now, I talked about Brock Purdy being out again this week, which means Mac Jones is starting. And I talked about Jawan Jennings being out. Ricky Pearsall is out for the Niners. I mean,
Ayuk's
oh,
still there. Ayuk's they have no. I
Ayuk
don't
is
who
out.
throw the ball to.
So, I mean, the
Kittle's
only
out.
Kittle's out. The only player I'm starting, and because you have to, you can't sit Christian McCaffrey, but he's the
No.
only player that's even viably starting material for the 49ers this week. Their
Mm,
top wide receiver might be Kendrick Bourne this week.
I think it might have to be. I don't
Um,
know.
Jane Daniels is another one where he might be a game time decision to
Mhm.
where he's starting to get practices this week. So that's another one. Is it going to be Marcus Mariota or is it going to be Jane Daniels? So that could affect some different lineup type injury situation there. Jalen Coker for the Carolina Panthers is expected to possibly make his return this week. He's eligible, doesn't mean that he will be, but he's eligible to come off the IR and actually play this week. So we'll have to keep a watch on um, what that looks like for him in practices and whether he's eligible to actually, or sorry, able to actually play this week. So he is eligible to play. So we'll see if that
That'd
ends
be
up
huge for.
being absolutely. And I think he's actually been favored. Or been higher in favor with the coaching staff there in Carolina than Xavier Legette has been in the past. And in week 4, he had a hamstring injury anyway, so that could be something to where Jalen Coker is actually healthier than Xavier Legette going into this game too.
Mhm. Mhm.
Any other injuries that I might be uh, missing in this one? I think DeAndre Swift was injured, but I think he should be back. Jalen Warren uh, was hurt and he missed last game, but they're on a bye week, so he could be back in week 6.
Yeah. Um,
Cam
man, I
Scatabo,
don't
I
think
think,
I
is
think
definitely
good.
the main running back for the Giants this week. Tyrone Tracy still dealing with that dislocated shoulder.
Yeah. And they never put him on IR,
Hmm.
but yeah, I don't think he's gonna be. I think they already said he's not playing this week. So yeah, that's all I know. Oh, Bucky Irving's questionable. He's not. He might not be playing. Actually, it looks like he's probably not playing.
Mm.
He missed Wednesday's practice he has foot and shoulder injuries. So I think Tampa probably sits Bucky Irving this week, which, if he's available on waivers, go get Rachaad White, who has proven himself to be a viable running back in the NFL before. I'm sure he'll get I'm sure he'll get a lot of touches.
Now, with it being tomorrow night's Thursday night football game, again, we talked about it
Mhm.
already, but just to help you with setting your lineups, we already talked about the only person I'm looking to start for the San Francisco 49ers tomorrow is Christian McCaffrey. As far as the Rams go, man, um, you're going to Puka Nakua for sure, Devontae Adams, and for sure Matt Stafford and Kyron Williams. Those are the 4 guys that I'd be looking to play for the Rams. Obviously, those are big games or big names. So if any of those 4 guys and the 5th guy with the Niners that I talked about, Christian McCaffrey, obviously those guys are must start type
Yep.
people in your lineup, anyways. So those should be no brainer plays. Going into Sunday slate of games that we have too. Again, just a reminder that that is an early 8:30 a.m. game. So make sure that you're setting your lineups on Saturday um, to at least cover that first 8:30 a.m. game if you have any Cleveland Browns or Minnesota Vikings going in that game. I don't know if you have anything else as far as people to start in that game, but I would say people to.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
you're in the Vikings game.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to start Justin Jefferson. I don't care who he's playing,
yep,
but
absolutely.
I understand it's going to be a tough matchup for them. But if you have a guy who's a top 5 receiver, you start him in every instance,
Had
every
over 100
situation.
yards against Jalen Ramsey. You got to start him this week
Mhm.
as well too. Cleveland Browns, as far as Cleveland Browns starters, um, I think Judkins, he was in my top 15. Um, where does he sit as far as running backs for you? Do you like him as a running back this week?
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota gives up, I think, the 8th or ninth most rush yards per game. So he's definitely a great option. And, a rookie quarterback, you want to establish a run game to
Mhm.
help the rookie quarterback. So Cleveland's going to be focused on that. And yeah, so I think it's a good play. If you have him, I mean, he's definitely worth a flex.
I mean, the only other Cleveland Brown I can think that's worth starting this week. Now, there's two, but I mean, I like Harold Fannin Jr. As a tight end, just because consistently now he's been getting the targets
Yeah.
at tight end, and that's at a tight end if you're not strong on tight end.
Or if
Then Harold,
they're bye weeks now.
yep,
So
absolutely
if you got a guy like Tucker Kraft's on a bye week,
correct.
if you got him and you need to start someone, then I think Harold Fan would be a good option.
Absolutely. But if you're really hard up, I just we don't know how Dylan Gabriel is going to be. He has said that he wants to make Jerry Judy the Justin Jefferson of the Cleveland Browns offense. Um, Jerry Judy has never lived up to the hype. Um,
No.
now, again, he definitely hasn't. He's kind of done a disappearing act so far this season. So does he end up coming up big, and does Dylan Gabriel intentionally try to get him worked into the game plan? We'll see. A lot of the comments that Jerry Judy has said, like he knows who to throw the ball to. Those kind of comments are kind of hinting that he almost even prefers Dylan Gabriel over Joe Flacco as far as targeting him more and getting him the ball more. So we'll see if that's a thing. But if I'm, which I do have Jerry Judy in one league, um, but he's on my bench. Like he's not a starter for me. That could change with Dylan Gabriel, but that's just where I'm at. I don't know
Yeah.
if you have anything on that, but
No, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's very good. He didn't leave.
Mhm.
He didn't do. The Broncos didn't even want to keep him. Like they were like, we're good with Cortland Sutton. You can take a hike. So
Now I talked about it in some of these games already, as far as who I liked in these games. You want to go because there are people that are in leagues that are in game pick'em leagues, which I
Mhm.
actually do one as well. Who do you like in these least slated games? If you had to go down the list,
like just go down and tell you who I think
yeah,
to
who do
win
you think is going to
on
win?
all of them.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Rams are a lock.
hmm
I think in a terribly ugly game, the Vikings they win that game. Um, Colts over Raiders. We'll go. You. Let's go. Saints over Giants. Now we got a week of film on Jackson Dart. Saints over Giants. I'm gonna take the Cowboys over the Jets.
right
Just
now we're in
get 4
lockstep.
more points. I'm gonna go Eagles, Broncos. I mean, Bo Nix actually showed out last week, so Eagles win.
Mm.
You know, kind of Dolphins over Panthers. I'm not gonna do it.
So right now we haven't been opposite each other
I think
half the
Ravens.
games.
I think Ravens only.
Now this is a game time one for me.
It's
If
gonna be so
Jackson isn't if
tough.
Jackson isn't starting, I pick the Texans. If Lamar Jackson is
Yeah.
playing, I pick the Ravens.
Yeah, I think it's you know what? I'm just gonna say Texans. I think Jackson doesn't play. I'm gonna go Texans.
Okay.
Um and
I'm
then
Texans if Jackson doesn't play.
yeah. And then I will go Cardinals.
Okay.
Bucks over Seahawks. Well, Lions over Bengals. That's Lions over Bengals. I mean, that's gonna be everyone's survivor pool pick right
Should be
there.
pretty high.
If you haven't already picked the Lions, but Lions over Bengals is
Bengals might be a
and
soft target all
that
throughout the year on any
that
Survivor
could
leagues.
be. I mean, they very well could be, but and that yeah. I'm sure a lot of people lost their survivor pools when they picked the Packers over the Browns.
Right? I was just about to say that. How many
And
people thought that the
yeah,
Browns were going to be that team?
yeah. So I don't know. So watch the Bengals win. That would just make my week. Well,
So
no,
what could
I
be
don't
a
know.
really
But
good game is Chargers and Commanders, especially if Jaden Daniels starts.
yeah, with Jaden back, um, could definitely be a very good game. But I'm gonna go Chargers in that game. I like. Drake Mays looks so good, and Buffalo's defense has not looked that great. I could see an upset there, but I'm not picking them. I'm gonna pick the Bills. But what's the spread on that game? I bet Patriots.
So I'd
Um,
have to look.
I bet it's like 5.5. I might Patriot if it's Patriots plus 5.5, it might be worth taking Patriots if you're a gambler anyway. And then I would go Chiefs over Jaguars. The defense look good, but Chiefs are getting healthy and they looked so good last week. So you gotta go Chiefs.
Patty Mahomes looked really good. Yeah, I mean
I'm
that's
gonna
who I
look at
have, but
the
that could
spread of
be
that
another
game.
sneaky one too. That could be a sneaky one. Jacksonville's at home. Uh,
Hmm.
Etienne really got his game going. The only thing,
Yep.
just like that passing game, has not looked good all year in Jacksonville. So
No.
they've gotten a couple games where they've gotten Etienne going, but they cannot seem to get Brian Thomas Jr. going. So
Mm-mm.
hopefully that becomes a thing to where they can get him going at some point. But I'm with
Oh
you.
my God. I
The
was
spread,
way off. Yeah, New England's +8. I think that's I don't know. I, maybe I'm crazy. I love that. I'd take New England +8 all day. I
yeah.
don't
I
know.
mean, maybe. I mean, uh,
Over under 49. They're expecting a shootout. Drake Mays looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this season. Like he's
I
been that good.
I actually like that over under. I would actually take the over.
Over
I
49. That's so many
I
points.
I also think that's going to be a high scoring game.
Yeah. Well,
Not really. I mean, you're talking about a 28-25 game.
yeah. Yeah.
I definitely could see it being that. You
Well,
know,
I like New England to I don't know that they're gonna end up winning the game, but I think that game will be a lot closer than a lot of people
if I had
think.
to pick somebody that is in the mold of Josh Allen, I would pick Drake May.
Man, I'm just
He's kind of in that mold.
I'm so sad the Vikings weren't able to draft them. I'm sorry.
That
I mean, I was like reminiscing today and I went back and I just like all my
they did
tweets
try.
from 2024 and looked back at all the
Rumor is they did
begging
try.
everyone I wanted to draft Drake May so bad. It's funny. I told Brett this too from the other contributor Viking Central back then that I used to work for a company who's the one of the executives anyway. We were pretty close. He was in one of our fantasy football leagues, but he is family friends with the May family. And they were praying that the Vikings traded up for him. in that draft. They really wanted the Vikings to, and I think the Vikings wanted to also. I just think they got a little conservative with it. I don't obviously know what the Patriots wanted, but
Mhm.
if the Vikings had 2 first round picks in that draft, right? They had 2 first round picks. Yeah, because they took Turner and McCarthy. Like, if you give up both those first round picks and another first round pick.
Well, whatever their asking price was, apparently they were right because I think the Vikings did try to trade up and they weren't able to, um, pull May away from the Patriots. And at least right
That's
now, it looks like they hit on a
yeah,
quarterback. So whatever the asking price was, it must have been the right asking price because at least on the front end of it, it looks like they valued and saw um, the value of him being a franchise quarterback. So,
yeah. I wish
but
I don't even if it was freaking 3 first round picks, we should have did it.
and that might not have even been enough. We don't know what they were asking for.
It's true.
They thought that they struck gold. So
I mean, I heard from him from well, I won't say his name, but from the guy, he's like from what they understand, the
mhm.
Vikings tried the Vikings weren't willing to give up 3 first rounders.
Eh, and in a lot of drafts on a quarterback, when you don't know, a lot of them don't hit. Um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
from where they were, and value wise, and you can look at value calculators and stuff like that. From that standpoint, it probably didn't look like it, but you know, how do you put what kind of price do you put on a potential franchise quarterback for a long time that can put you in positions to win the big one?
yeah.
What
No,
value
I
do you
mean,
put on that? So obviously, we didn't put three first rounders in it on the Viking side. So, but yeah. So going into week five, is there any other final thoughts that you might have on week five as far as whether the schedule goes or players to watch, injuries, sit trades, anything like that?
not off the rip. I like Garrett Wilson this week.
Yeah, and I like Garrett Wilson as well. I think player stocks that maybe went up or player stocks that went down when I take a look at last week. I thought Omari and Hampton definitely went up for his stock. Another one that kind of opened eyes was Woody Marks. He was a popular trade target, or sorry, waiver
Mhm.
target. So Woody Marks might be possibly getting into or taking even getting more carries than Nick Chubb for the Texans. And then I thought Travis Etienne, again, with 124 yards rushing in his last game. Again, he was stock up. Ash Genti finally had his breakout game for 138 yards. His stock was up. And
Yeah,
then you finally saw a big breakout game from DK Metcalf, compliments of an 80-yard touchdown versus the
you're welcome.
Vikings. And then Stephon Diggs showed that he still can be that number one guy in New
Mhm.
England with 101 yards.
What
So
J.K. Dobbins?
Bucky Irving, man, 102 yards
Yeah.
receiving, and to go with his running,
Mhm.
J.K. Dobbins as well too.
He broke 100 yards, and he looked really good doing it, so
Absolutely. And I think the other one was that just continues to, if there's another up level, is Puka Nakua, 170 yards. I mean, uh, that's a lot.
he's good. He's
Yeah,
really good.
absolutely. So we'll see where it goes, but you finally saw a little bit of Michael Penix being able to throw the ball. So I would say stock up from where he was. He threw for 313 yards,
Mhm.
which is considerably more for a very stagnant offense that looked to be there for a little while. So I think again, stock up a little bit for him as well.
Mhm.
Was there anybody that you thought was a stock down after last week?
Hmm. I mean,
For me, for me, Derrick Henry has seemed to be a little
I
bit
was just
of
gonna
a
say
stock
that.
down. And it's confusing to me a little bit. But Derrick Henry, he started out strong, and it's almost like I don't know if he's got an injury, um, or if it's just the running scheme right now,
Yeah,
and run blocking is just it's just not hidden. But
yeah,
their rushing leader last week was Justice Hill.
yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, Derrick Henry, probably one of them. I just think over the course of the year, that'll probably get corrected and he'll be okay.
Hmm.
So it's hard to say. I think, DeAndre Swift, I don't even remember if he had a good game last week, but I know that, overall this season, I can't remember what he did last week, but overall this season, I don't think he hasn't impressed, so
Hmm. Yeah, and another one, I mentioned it before, but Brees Hall, I think, is stock up. With Braylon Allen going down, he had a good week last week as well too, as far as fantasy goes. Um, I think he'll continue that, and again, without Braylon Allen there, he is the workhorse for the New York Jets. So I think he's another one where I'd say stock up. One that I would also kind of say, and this is maybe I don't know if this is just not fair, but Lad McConkey, is he a stock down guy?
yeah, he's not getting the targets. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I think part of it is Quentin Johnston's been so good.
He had 6 targets last week for 1
Yeah,
catch for 11 yards.
yeah, it's crazy. I don't you just he hasn't really showed out this season so far. And again, I think part of that is the effectiveness of the run game and
Mhm.
how good Quentin Johnston has been. So
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know. But yeah,
It
definitely a stock down guy, Lad McConkey for sure.
and that was surprising this offseason. You could
Yeah.
have really netted yourself in dynasty leagues, quite the haul for Lad McConkey.
Hmm. Hmm.
In same thing with Brian Thomas Jr., the
Yeah.
stock down on that. Uh, and I think that will come. He's the number 1 receiver in that offense. He still is. Again,
Yeah.
it just for some reason, I don't know if it's a double coverage or finding ways to get him the
It's
ball or what it is. With Lad McConkey, I think it's different because I think Lad
yeah.
McConkey is no longer the number 1 receiver right now in that Chargers offense.
Man, I got Quentin Johnston in like the 28th round of a new dynasty league, in the
Ta-
very last pick of my draft, and
Talk about a guy
that
that
was
was
awesome.
that was completely written
Mhm,
off these last 2
mhm.
years and
'Cause
has
of
totally
draft
been
drops.
baptized in
Yeah.
yeah, and stardom in of fantasy football at least, but
Hopefully he
just
keeps it
in
up,
general. Yeah, I mean,
and
it's good.
but yeah, hope I don't know. I think Ladd'll, start to put some games together. He's just that good. He's open a lot, so that's good. Brian Thomas Jr., I think there's something going on mentally with him because he's had some balls where he's really
On him,
just
yeah,
yeah, and it's alligator armed, and I don't know. It's kind of weird.
absolutely. Well, I think that's all I have. I don't see any comments right now or questions, but hopefully, our charts were enough to help you get ready for your Thursday night football. And again, remember, set your picks on Saturday because you have an early Sunday morning game, Vikings in Cleveland, that's taking place in London, to help you get ready for your Week 5 showdown. We will. Make sure that we have the results of our ultimate football lineup between Ryan and I. Well, again, this is our first week doing it. We'll try to keep our record going through and show you the results from last week and into the new week. But this is our ultimate lineup for this week, as you can see. But what I will say is, I want to thank Ryan for again coming on overtime, being another guest here on the Fantasy 15. So I think what we've talked about is you might be a more regular guest for us here on the show. And then I want to also thank Viking Central again, being our uh, main plug and also helping us put out the Fantasy 15 content. So thank you to Viking Central. With that, thank you from Ryan Jones and from me, your host, Steve Hoykla. This is the Fantasy 15. Good luck in week 5, and we'll see you next week.